From the moment they appeared on screen together on Wednesday, it was clear that Morticia Addams and Principal Larissa Weems shared a history far more complex than simple acquaintances or former classmates. But first, I think it's only just that I delve into Weems' character a bit more. We already know who Morticia is. Larissa Weems is one of the most interesting characters in Wednesday because she is not a villain but not quite a hero either. She's complicated, a woman shaped by her past, her jealousy, and her unfulfilled desires. When we meet her, she is the strict but elegant principal of Nevermore Academy. She seems powerful and in control, but as the story unfolds, we learn that much of her life has been spent living in Morticia Addams' shadow. Years ago, they were schoolmates, possibly even close friends. But Morticia was always more admired, more rebellious, and more loved, especially by Gomez, the man Larissa may have had feelings for. This left Larissa bitter, and she never truly moved on. As an adult, Larissa tries to prove she is better than Morticia by becoming principal and enforcing rules at Nevermore. But when Wednesday arrives, Larissa sees Morticia all over again, another Addams causing trouble and getting attention. Instead of treating Wednesday fairly, she lets her old jealousy cloud her judgment. She's harsh with Wednesday, not just because she's a troublemaker, but because she reminds Larissa of everything she could never have. In the end, Larissa's story is sad. She spends her life competing with someone who doesn't even see her as a rival. When she dies, it feels unfair. She never got the chance to truly let go of her past and find her own happiness. Larissa Weems is a reminder that holding on to jealousy and resentment only hurts the person who carries it. Hopefully, as the series progresses, Weems and Morticia can be cordial again. She could have been great on her own, but she was too busy comparing herself to Morticia to ever realize it. Anyways, enough of Larissa, back to these former friends. Their dynamic was one of quiet tension, unspoken grievances, and a rivalry that had festered over decades, one that shaped Larissa's entire life while Morticia seemed to have moved on without a second thought. Their past at Nevermore Academy was only hinted at, but the implications were heavy. They had been friends once, or at least something close to it. Yet even in the flashbacks, there was an imbalance. Morticia was effortlessly captivating, mysterious, confident, the kind of person who drew attention without trying. Larissa, by contrast, was sharp and ambitious, but always just slightly outside the spotlight Morticia naturally occupied. And then there was Gomez. His devotion to Morticia, their legendary romance, only deepened the divide. If Larissa had ever harbored feelings for him or simply resented how easily Morticia claimed everything, love, legacy, notoriety, it would explain the quiet bitterness that never faded. Larissa's decision to preserve Morticia's old locker for years spoke volumes. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was proof that she had never truly let go. While Morticia built a life beyond Nevermore, Larissa remained climbing the ranks until she became principal. But even then, she was still living in Morticia's shadow. The school remembered Morticia's rebellious spirit, her infamous exploits, while Larissa's contributions were administrative, practical, and less glamorous. When Wednesday arrived, it reopened old wounds. Here was another Addams, just as defiant, just as magnetic as her mother, forcing Larissa to confront the past all over again. Their interactions in the present were loaded with subtext. Larissa maintained a veneer of professionalism, but her words carried an edge. She questioned Morticia's parenting, criticized Wednesday's behavior, and made subtle jabs about the Addams family's influence. Morticia in turn responded with eerie calm, never defensive, never reactive. It wasn't that she didn't care, it was that she had long since stopped seeing Larissa as a threat. And that perhaps was the most cutting thing of all. To Larissa, Morticia was the rival she could never surpass, but to Morticia, Larissa was just someone from her past. Their final confrontation in Larissa's office was the culmination of years of unresolved tension. Larissa tried to assert authority to prove she was no longer the girl left behind, but Morticia didn't engage. She didn't need to. Her mere presence was enough to remind Larissa of everything she had never been able to escape. And then when Larissa died, there was no grand reckoning, no emotional farewell. Morticia mourned, but in the way one mourns an old acquaintance, not someone who had once been a significant part of her life. In the end, their relationship was defined by bitterness and tension. Larissa clung to the past, letting it shape her choices, her ambitions, even her identity. Morticia, meanwhile, moved forward without looking back. She didn't even try to rekindle the bond, not even once. There's something deeply haunting about that imbalance, how two people can share history yet be shaped by it in entirely different ways. Larissa's story was one of lingering bitterness, of a life spent measuring herself against someone who had already forgotten the competition existed. And Morticia, she was simply Morticia, unchanged, untouchable, forever just out of reach.
The Big Dipper.